Okay, today we were talking about wedding, Chinese wedding. Chinese wedding. We like red. Okay, so Chinese wedding, there's a lot of red. Traditional Chinese wedding is like any other culture is a ceremony ritual within the Chinese society that involves not only a union between the spouses, actually it is a union between two families from the man and the woman, sometimes established by pre-arrangement between families. Marriage and family are inextricably linked, which involves the interests of all families. Within Chinese culture, romantic love and monogamy was the norm for most citizens, although there are polygamy, but that is the exception rather than the rule. In Confucius' thought, marriage is of great importance, very important to both families and society, as well as being the important for the cultivation of virtue. Traditionally, incest has been defined as the marriage between people with the same surname. So this is a very different compared with the Western culture. In Western culture, we have a very similar names, but very different family names because there are so many different families. But in China, it's the other way around. We have large surnames, and then our names are all different. So if you say, for example, Yip, I think Yip is about the in around 100 to 200 read the most popular surname. Of course, we have Li, Wang, Chen. These are more popular. But anyway, but incest, if you have both same surname, then you consider to be the same family. So that is against the law. One of the earliest marriage prohibition and one surviving to this day was that forbidding persons of the same surname to marry. It was imperial decree in 484 AD state that this rule was going back to the Zhao dynasty. So it's long time ago. If you do marry that, you will receive 60 vows and then the marriage will be nulled. So you cannot marry someone with your same surname. But today, there are still people marrying with the same surname, but much less. From the perspective of a Confucius family, marriage brings together the families of different surnames and continues the family line of the man's part. Okay, is a male-centric marriage system, and is generally why giving birth to a boy is preferred over a girl, because it's continue your family's surname, and therefore the benefit and demerits of any marriage are important to the entire family, not just the individual couple. And socially, the married couple is thought to be a basic unit of society. But in the old days, it's still a much bigger family. Today's the nuclear family ideas come along, but in ancient times, it's still very much a extended family as a family. Traditional rituals include 3 letters and 6 etiquettes. So what are they? Among the 6 procedures here, some involve some official letters. So that's the 3 letters. The first one is, of course, the proposal. Okay, you have to make a written offer to marry. The second is the bride's name and date of birth. the confirmation. And then lastly, the third one is there is a matchmaker. The matchmaker will be important as the part. So let's look at these 6 basic procedures today. The first one is proposal. So usually we started by the man's part. So the man, when you have a son who is old enough to marry, you will start looking for potential daughter-in-law. So if the parents find a potential daughter-in-law, or for some prearrangement, 2 families might be very good to each other, and they might promise that later on when we have children, our children will get married. So if I got a son and you got a daughter, and they two will become husband and wife. If I have a daughter, you have a son, and they are also going to be husband and wife. That's prearranged even before the children are born. Or if both parties are the same sex, that they will become brothers by what's that called? You try to have is that equivalent of that one in Western culture, where you can align yourself with somebody you really very good and declare yourself being brothers. Okay, so that kind of thing. So there's one form, pre-arranged marriage. The other one is you look around and try to find somebody who you think is appropriate for your children, and if that's the case, then you will ask somebody to the matchmakers. So they will locate a matchmaker whose job was to assess the conflict of interest and general embarrassment when discussing the possibility of marriage on the part of the 2 families largely unknown to each other. Marriage was chosen based upon the needs of reproduction and honor, as well as the needs of the father and husband. So usually you want to make the family line continue. So if the select girl and her parents do not object to the proposal, that means agree, then the matchmaker will obtain both their birthdays. That is represented by 8 Chinese characters. These 8 Chinese characters represent, the first 2 characters represent the year. We know that the Chinese have the year of pig and so forth. We have 12 different animals. So one of the Chinese characters is about which animal of the year. Okay, so it's the same. The other one is a cyclic. So we have 2 characters stand for the year, and that 2 characters represent 60 years. And then we have the character for your month, the character for your dates. So both of these is 2, 2. So 2 words for your month, because we have 12 months. 2 words for your dates, because we have 28 or 29 days in the lunar calendar. And then, so 2 for the year, 2 for the month, 2 for the dates, and then there's 6. 2 more. That 2 is the hours of birth, when you are born. So given these 8 characters, that means you know the party's exact time of birth to 2 hours. The Chinese clock is 12 units rather than 24 units. So around the clock is 12. So again, when you have the 8 characters from the girl and 8 characters from the boy, then you will give it to a fortune teller, see whether they match. If they doesn't match, you will have to do extra rituals to overcome the problem. Okay, but hopefully they match. Usually they will match. And then we'll go to the next step. Give the amount of money will be given from the boy's side to the female side. So they will negotiate that. So at that time, then you will forward some money towards the bride. So including a letter offering for the marriage. So wedding gifts, cakes, etc. to the bride's family, and then arrange the wedding on a date. Again, the dates will be chosen to make sure that they will remain happy forever, something like that. After arranging the dates, then the actual wedding ceremony. So these are the 6 steps to get married traditionally. Nowadays, the Chinese usually still follow a similar 6 steps. But of course, the most important thing is on the last one, the actual wedding ceremony itself. The wedding ceremony will start with the wedding processions. So the bride will be, first of all, have her hair put in the old days, girls' hairstyle and women's hairstyle are different. And therefore on the night before the wedding, then we will find some respectable old woman to help her prepare the hair into the married human hair. And then he will dress in red to symbolize happiness. Then the bride will come over, and the bride room will come over, and then the bride will cry because she is going to miss her family, but eventually she will go with the bride room. And then
what happens if she doesn't cry?
It's symbolic. Usually doesn't cry. My wife doesn't cry.
Okay.
And then the bride room at the front of the bride's family, you try to get access to the bride, and then the bride's friends, the girls all together will put up some embarrassing questions for the bride room to answer and so forth. I think the same thing in Western culture, I suppose, to get them sexually ready, put it that way, for the night. And then the actual ceremony, and they will using a sedan or car. Today is using car, and take the bride out from her family to the man's family. Into that, then they will have a banquet, and the banquet is the really most elaborate part of the wedding. But when the couples arrive in the man's house, then they will usually do a little bit of a ceremony. The ceremony consists of paying respect to heaven and earth. So they will first tell the heaven and earth or your gods, put it that way. We are going to get married. Okay, so that's number. And then the second thing is pay respect to the parents. So, and then pay respect to all the pay respect to the deceased ancestors, and then respect to the parents and other elders. Then pay respect to each other. Then when it's done, they consider husband and wife. So usually that involves kneeling down, offering a a stick, incense stick with smoke, that, and they're offering that to heaven and earth, then to the deceased ancestors, and then kneel before the parents, give the parents a tea, and then the parents will give you a red pocket as a lucky money, and then they will kneel towards each other, have a drink by crossing their arms, and then that's considered husband and wife after that. So,
Mr. Yip, is this a legal sort of ceremony where people sign papers and?
today, yes. Today, they will do that usually before the actual wedding day.
Oh, okay.
Where
do they do that?
Yeah, a government office where they will submit their papers, say we want to get married, and then they will sign some documents, and then the government will recognize you as husband and wife. But traditionally, you are still not husband and wife because you haven't still go through the ceremony.
No.
But
thank you.
Okay, let's look at the modern ways. Okay, from some YouTubers.
At a Chinese wedding, here comes the cars now, but that's not what I'm interested in. At a Chinese wedding, the last thing you want to be is a chicken in a cage. Hey, what's the chance of these guys making it till tomorrow? The boys are cooking ribs. Oh yes, we're going to be eating ribs here soon. And this is how they cook this stuff. Check this stuff out. Oh, you got mussels down there. You got these little furnaces. Well, they've got. Oh, that's hot. They're boiling. Doesn't that look tasty? Num num num. And pig belly. Oh yeah, look at that. Isn't that? So we just had dinner here, and now these guys are cooking up all of this pork. There's going to be 30 tables at this wedding tonight. So they're making koro. So they're starting, and these guys will be cooking all afternoon, and it's got to be 34 degrees outside here today, and they're going to be cooking and boiling and deep frying in these woks that they've got set up here all afternoon, and drinking baijiu. I guarantee you the boys are drinking baijiu. So we'll see tonight what happens, because we're invited to this big wedding party because they're family. So we're going to be here tonight, and we're going to be drinking and doing everything that they're going to be doing, and it's going to be fun. Koro, this stuff is my favorite. Num num num. Well, oh, and there's going to be fish, lots of fish, vegetables. People are here working, taking care of this, so everybody has something to eat for this wedding. Everybody's going after it. Pretty nice. So the whole community gets together, and it's a big thing to have a couple married in a little village like this here. And what section is this? Oh, this is a peeling garlic section. This is everybody's peeling garlic, even the little ones. Ooh. Everybody's getting into the game. See, as you can see, there's only 10 tables of people. But what they'll do over the night is they'll have 3 sets of people come in every, I don't know, however long it takes, an hour or whatever. Oh, my hair is not pretty. Wei Fong says. So they have 10 tables here, and what they're going to do is they're going to have 3 sets of people come through here tonight and eat. So you got the first level, second level, and the first level. We're the first level because we're family, and then you get second level and third level, and so we get the good food. I'm hoping. And the girls are here. And everybody, see, and there's pretty girls at the other table there for sure, because we have lots of pretty girls in our family. So we're just waiting for our food now, and hopefully, see, and then you've got the little kids out there that just want to watch because they're not family. They're from another group of kids.
Okay, we are not going to watch what they eat. Look at that.
The lotus seed, and the wood ear, the white wood ear, and this is 桂圆，桂圆怎么说？
桂圆龙眼。
龙眼 dragon eye 龙的眼睛，这个好 dragon eyes
Dragon eyes.
yeah what kind of eyes
So this was looks very similar to what we experienced in Western countries, because I think the man married a non-Chinese, I suppose. Different areas do a little bit different ceremony. And this one is in Hunan, in a small town there.
我的女人，爱人，我的小可爱，Honey darling，对，小甜心，还有大甜心。甜心怎么了？甜心为什么断了？甜心还有8个了，那你说8个吗？9个了。他今天要红包，他不要闻到了金钱的味道。开一点，一把，多了一点。我真的多了，就是，哎，进来给你看，好吧？打开门，我让你没看，就超寂寞了。好死的活成，门打开点啊！丢一把红包了，红包没地方丢了啊！还会多一点。来，靠你。很多了，我们做完了。可以很难做的。是的，120套磨成只做了12个呀。对。折了10倍，刚刚打了1只。我们的话就是2个伴娘，然后新郎和伴娘一起，然后3个人。解决了吗？对，规则就是我们是孕育宿舍，你们是感觉梦姐在行程里。对了。下面38了，38，这个是这个，还有2个这个。哦，这个应该是不长。哎，这上面层不行啊。哎，18可以，这18可以，然后这18可以，这个可以。可以。18的不要看，18。慢点。对。现在不早了。拿出来就打。
在你们的身上吗？
没有，
怎么可能对他们耍赖？
来，找鞋子，找鞋子，来找鞋子，来柜子。
位置肯定没有啊。
在高处还是？
你看这没办法。
别聊天了，快点。
我不行，
你刚刚躲了那么久，穿鞋子给力啊！爸爸第一次帮我穿鞋嘛，是不是？
以后得多练，以后得多练。
这去哪里啊？这不要那就行了吗？
背回去，我背回去。
我饭是真的好吃啊。
Okay, there will be banquet, and you will notice that some of the weddings will be held in the village, and they're not in any restaurant, so they will be in an open area, and you'll see the cooks come in with all the equipments, and then making food for the whole day.
谢谢妈妈。新郎官，再一次关系小妹做一场，走到爸爸面前，那阿爸你好，阿爸你喝茶，阿爸请喝茶。这个茶不是白喝的哈，我们是不要喝出我茶钱的哈。新郎官呢，今天呢，同着我们的亲朋好友、所有来宾、爸爸妈妈，今后你怎样对待你们的新娘？
就如他的名字一样，叫张明珠，必然视他为掌上明珠嘛。
我希望奶奶慢一点。问下新郎奶奶今天高兴吗？
高兴。
去生喜了，对不对？下面呢有请新郎新娘向奶奶深深的三鞠躬。哎，新郎新娘与鞠躬，再鞠躬，三鞠躬，祝奶奶笑口常开，子孙满堂。下面呢有请新娘端起小甜茶。安娜你好，安娜你喝茶。
安娜你好，小茶。
所以我叫的这个菊花甜不甜？甜，这个茶可甜。甜咱喝茶就那啥嘞？咱喝茶就要付茶钱的哈。谢谢奶奶。
谢谢奶奶。
好，奶奶，这个起来一下，我们管理会场。还有红包了吗？还有红包了吗？三鞠躬，祝本外婆万事如意，天天辛苦，我爱你，以后我要好好待你，和你住一起。我们知道新郎非常对这个妻子是爸爸妈妈养育了25年，我必须要回到爸爸妈妈那里。跟着夫妻向爸爸妈妈岁岁的三鞠躬，新郎新娘与。
Okay, so we see that still the paying respect to the parents and then the elder parents, etc. And then usually after that, they will get a red pocket, which will help them to start their new life.
Just wondering how many years is it since the men were wearing Western suits like that?
Well, usually one day, and then they will go back to. It all depends on whether how much holiday they got, I suppose. Is that the same one? Again, it's still banquet. So, well, probably we want to skip this. Okay, so any question?
Albert, in 2021 in communist China, do they still have all this to do with the matchmaker, the astrology? Do they still abide very much by the Chinese animal signs for matching up the bride, or is that tradition's gone?
The tradition is still there because that is fun. So it's still there. Of course, in today's government do require them to have a registration of their marriage. And so they will need to go to a government office to register their marriage. But that is usually done before the actual ceremony. And in some cases, I understand, for example, if their families are quite a distant apart, for example, in 2 different provinces, then the wedding ceremony may be held first at the boy's hometown first, and then they will go to the girl's hometown and have another wedding ceremony and so forth. So that the whole ritual is still there, but obviously different part of the country will take different emphasis on different parts of the ritual. Yeah.
Also, that ancient law you had up about cannot marry people of the same surname, that must be impossible. Like in Korea, I think there's about 3 main surnames, Park, Lee, and something else. It must be the same in China. There must be millions of people with the same surnames.
Yeah. Chinese have 1.4 billion people. We have approximately 500 common surnames. So yeah, divide 1.4 divided by 500 is still talking about millions. So yes. So I think this has been relaxed. And my youngest sister married with the same surname. So yes, but that was the old custom. Today, I think it is much more relaxed.
Thank you. Also, Albert, in your about the Buddhist rituals that you had up earlier, you had Buddhas and then you had some word like Bodhivistas. Does that mean female Buddhas?
I don't know. I'm not familiar with all. Again, it depends on local traditions. China is a very large country, so different province, different village do have their variations in their rituals. I have gone through the marriage in Hong Kong style ritual rather than mainland style. I do believe different areas do have a little bit of difference, but the main thing is still the same. We have, for example, I met my wife, and then I fall in love, and then I want to marry her. So I told my father I want to marry her, and then go through the same thing. Get my wife's the birth dates, birth time, and I also give my own birth time to my wife's family. And then we ask somebody to check whether we are compatible with each other, and then pick a day. And then we, it so happened for us is that we are both teachers. So we have to marry during the summer holidays when the school break. So we have to time our marriage after the school finished. And then at that time, we don't have money to have a big banquet. So basically, is on the evening, the family, my family, get together, have a banquet, and then the next day we went honeymoon in Taiwan. So I like variation. And then usually after marriage, then on the third day, then the bridegroom will accompany the bride back to her house, her home, to show your father-in-law and mother-in-law that you haven't mistreated your wife. We do that on the same day. So I go to a place to pick her up, go to the Hong Kong marriage registration to do the registration. That is a formal thing, and then we go to her family home, pretending it's 3 days later. And but again, the ritual is still there, but for us it's highly simplified. That was mine. Because at that time I don't have the time and the money to do very extravagant banquets and so forth. So a bit of compromise, I suppose.
Thank you very much, Albert.
Thank you.
Are there any issues or problems with Chinese marrying Westerners?
No problem. That the Chinese now, because of the one-child policy, China has a surplus of boys compared with girls, and therefore it is quite common today for Chinese men falling in love with people who are non-Chinese. And obviously, in that case, then they will follow both the Chinese tradition as well as the bride's rituals, I suppose. So I do think that there's a lot of inter-ethnic group marriage these days, and Chinese are quite open to that as well. Yeah.
Albert, to do with the one-child policy that was in China, but the ethnic minority, 55 minority ethnic groups were allowed to have as many kids as they wanted to. In your special talk yesterday on Xinjiang province, were the Muslims allowed? Did they have big families because they didn't have that one child limit on them?
No, they don't. They don't have that one-child limit. So some of them do have big families. Yeah. Actually, the one-child policy only applies to cities. In a village, you can have as many children as you like. It only applies to the high-end in the cities. So if you are not, even you are hand, but you are living in countryside, you can still have more than one child. But usually people do have limit themselves to 1 or 2 at most, because at those times when the going is tough, they want to save more money, and instead of having more children, they try to minimize the expense on childcare. So yes, the one-child policy only limit to the hand people in the city, but now they are relaxed. They are now can have 3 children, but still have a limit. You can't have more than 3 for the hand in the cities.
It'll be interesting to see if they actually do have 3 children or if they still stick to 1 or 2.
They are still stick to 1 and 2. The next problem China is going to face is the aging of the population, because the Chinese population at the moment is about 38 on average, but the pyramid is not actually a pyramid. It's more like a diamond at the moment. So there's a big problem. Later on, as the people who are born in the 50 and 60s, when they get old, they only have one child, a lot of them. So there will be a case when a couple, two of them have 4 parents, and of course parents-in-law for them, and they might have 3 children. So it's possible, how can a couple provide sufficient for a family of 7 or 8? So that's quite a problem. There will be a problem later on, but I suppose by then hopefully the average income will be able to support it.
And people might just work for longer. I mean, the retirement age in China is very low, isn't it?
Yeah, in China, the females retirement age is 55, men is 60. It's still too young. And I think they will extend that eventually. Yes, Stephen?
Sorry, I'll leave it for now. I've had something else, but I've forgotten.
That's all right.
It's okay.
Oh, I remember now, I've seen documentaries on TV saying that on the border areas, there's a lot of kidnapping of girls from maybe Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, because there's such a shortage of girls. Young girls are kidnapped, taken across the border and sold as brides. Is that big business? Is that common? Thank you.
I don't know. I don't know about that. I might have to do a bit research to find out whether is that still is. But what I understand is in China, the society is pretty secure, so crime rate is very low. So I don't know the situation at the moment, but I do believe that situation should have been resolved, because I think at the end of the day, there's nobody want to lose their children due to kidnapping. So I think there is a social problem, and if that's the case, I would think, I don't know whether true or not, the Chinese government would be looking into it and then try to solve that problem. But maybe sometime before, maybe, but not sure about now. No problem, no more questions. Now, next Monday, the special session on China Today, we were talking about the carbon policy in China, how China is going to peak its carbon emission before 2030, and then how they want to become carbon neutral by 2060. So that will be next week, and the week after we'll looking at how the Chinese use their public space, the park in particular.